let's move on. Tony Ferguson has inked his new contract, or inked the contract period, to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov for UFC 249. April 18th is the date and the pay-per-view they're looking for. It's the fifth time. Fifth time's the charm. Yeah.
I guess if that's a phrase, like
It's not a phrase.
it is now.
It's
So the thing is, man, I'm really. How do you not get excited about Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov finally fighting? But will they finally fight? I don't know. The thing is, whenever you announce a fight in mixed martial arts, and I think in the very last piece that was published for SureDog.com, my mailback column, old mailback column, RIP, ask
RIP.
Ant.
Hold on. Or it's okay. Ant. It's okay.
Oh man, it's good, fam.
It's okay. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, there was like 10 of us that got let go. It's okay.
Yeah, man. So, I'm excited for it. But it's really hard to get so excited about any fight in mixed martial arts that's announced 5 months before they step in the cage, and this fight especially. I fully won't let myself get excited until 5 minutes before.
It's such a good fight, though.
And even then, man,
it's the guy
What are
to
the
beat
chances that Khabib slips on something backstage and hits his head like Kevin Randleman?
Well, first off, I mean, the track record, it seems right now, it's going to be Tony more than Khabib, I feel like. Khabib hasn't been consistent lately. He's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, they both got their moments, man.
In the 4 times. Yes. Because they've been... first fight was scheduled, remember, in 2014.
Dude, so what? Tony...
That's 5 years ago. Tony
blew out his knee and came back like 2 days later or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's nuts. Like, so I trust Tony's healing factor more than anything. But man, I just can't get excited for this yet. I can't. But this is what
it's such a good fight, and be excited with me,
dude. Like,
it's the best fight in combat sports right now.
I've been burned too many times. Sorry, I've just been burned too many times. And right now we're seeing the MMA gods are making us pay. We are sacrificing already. Ben Henderson's out of the Michael Chandler fight.
They've been smiting matchups as we speak.
Oh my God, they're just striking them down, man.
You wanted this one? Okay.
I
the next 5 fights you're looking forward to, gone.
I have a feeling Jose Aldo's about to be a sacrificial lamb to the MMA gods in order for this to happen.
Tangent. There's no way he makes 135, right?
I hope he doesn't. Because
no, see, I don't know about that. If he doesn't, that means he really actually gets hurt, and like that's concerning.
No, if it's like, okay, you can't do this, and they stop him, I'll be happy.
Ah, man.
But anyway, so yeah, man. As far as the fight itself, yes, this is the best fight that can be put on the mixed martial arts right now, in my opinion.
It's the best fight. If it goes off, it might be the best fight in combat sports of 2020.
Oh yes.
Period. Like you include like Wilder Fury 2. If they can somehow make like Spence Crawford at the end of the year, this has acclaim.
Masvidal Canelo. Like,
stop. I will slap the shit out of you if you mention that again. No. That's not a topic we're going to discuss on this show.
No, God, no. I shouldn't even joke like that.
No. Because at least Canelo's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, he's like, really?
These guys make pennies compared to me. What are you talking about? You're trying to get my clout? Fuck off. What was I going to talk about? I forget.
We were talking about Tony and Khabib.
I know, but back to it being the biggest fight of 2020. If it comes to fruition, it's the best fight in combat sports in 2020. Yay or nay?
Biggest fight in terms of what?
No, not biggest. Best.
Best fight?
Sorry. If I said biggest, I meant best.
Here's the thing that I'm afraid of now. We've built this fight up for how long? You said since 2014 when it was first booked.
It might not be a great fight.
That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that the expectation, besides the fact that it just may not happen, I am so afraid that the expectations have been built up so much that this fight ends up being a dud. Or at least a dud in comparison to what it could have been.
Now, do you think that McGregor-Khabib was a little bit... You know what I mean? Like, was that fight as exciting as it could have been? or as it felt, in terms of actual in-cage action?
It felt,
or was the suspense, these two guys just in the cage, was that enough for you?
The thing is, it was too much of a scene to separate just the fight itself from everything surrounding it. The story was too big. It was too much history between the two. It was.
Is that not going to be here, where you just feel like this is a moment? It feels like it's something special.
Yes, to the hardcores, but there's a big difference when literally the biggest star in sports is making his return, and they got green smoke coming out the floor, and I was at that fight, and being like feeling the energy and.
You were at that one. I wasn't. That's cool.
Oh, well, you were at other fights that I wasn't at, so it's all good. You're at some big boxing matches.
Fuck boxing. Fuck boxing.
Asterisk, fix that. MMA.
You need to, I'm sure you can find a clip of somebody saying "fuck MMA."
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can find it.
I can just make my own.
You can make your own drop. But so it's hard to separate the moment from the fight, and even the fight itself had dramatic moments. To see Khabib, who drop McGregor with a punch, was like, whoa, what the hell is going on?
How do you see this fight being a dud then?
No, I don't think it will be a dud, but I'm saying I think the expectations have been built so high. Think about Chuck Liddell versus Wanderlei Silva.
That fight was amazing. No, I will. Okay.
No, I'm saying it was a good fight, but did it live up to the expectations of when it was supposed to first happen? No,
but I'll put it this way:
exactly.
As somebody that came into MMA when like UFC Unleashed was on Spike TV at like 10 p.m. or something like that, right?
No, they showed Unleashed all day long.
No, it was Cops most of the day.
Yeah, Cops and Unleashed.
Mansers, and then like there's a few other shows like
Thousand Ways to Die or something, or
Blue Mountain High or whatever.
Warrior and all
that show was amazing. Deadliest Warrior.
Man, that was my jam.
Yeah, I bought the video game. It was trash.
Oh, it was so garbage.
Bad.
I had it too.
But as somebody that came up in that era, that like UFC Unleashed was the shit I looked forward to after school, because it was like whatever late night cartoons there was, and then like UFC Unleashed. Mm-hmm. Chuck Liddell, Wanderlei Silva was something I caught on UFC Unleashed. I didn't catch it live on a fight night. I just due to live and growing up and being a
because
kid.
We're of different age groups. So,
yeah.
So that's when I saw live.
That's when I caught on UFC Unleashed. And I was like, oh my god, this shit's amazing. And then I went like deep, like fucking sweaty ass deep dive on the computer into Wanderlei Silva and Pride. So like I think certain fights do have resonance, even if they don't have the resonance that they could have had. To be honest, like even like Mayweather Pacquiao, for example, a fight that should have happened 6 years before it did, or 5 years before it did. That fight still was the biggest combat sports fight of all time.
Yeah,
it still felt like a moment.
Felt like a moment, but the in-ring action was so not worth the hype. So I think it was such a distance that it's undeniable.
Yes, but that fight had a far easier path to being that sort of fight than, let's say, Khabib Tony, in my opinion.
But that's more so because of boxing in general, just how styles match up. So that's kind of inherent with boxing, that you will have more kind of long, drawn out, not necessarily aesthetically pleasing fights, especially when the Mayweather is part of the picture. That comes with the territory. Khabib and Tony, that doesn't come with the territory. And then also on top of that, this is a historically great fight. Tony Ferguson is on the best run in UFC lightweight history with 12 consecutive wins.
Arguably. I mean, you can say like Khabib has a better
No. I mean statistically, like
sure,
yeah,
the most wins,
the longest win streak in lightweight history, and then Khabib is undefeated and has made mincemeat of everybody he's fought, with the exception of Gleison Tebow, long ago. So
good fight.
Yeah, it was a very good fight.
And like Pat Healy for a moment.
Yeah,
which was really odd in retrospect thinking about it.
Pat Healy was dope though.
He had some moments.
Pat Healy was a very underrated fighter, but that's another story. So like those, like that's a historically great fight just in and of itself that should be enough to satisfy the bloodthirst of hardcore fans. And then you're talking about a fight that, unlike Mayweather Pacquiao, never got diminished due to losses while this buildup was taking place. Imagine like how big Mayweather Pacquiao would have been had Pacquiao not got floored by Marquez.
He rebounded fine with enough wins afterwards, I think. He did. We can go into his record right now and see.
No. I know he had wins after that, but like the image, just the image of seeing someone get shattered like that.
But
it takes the luster off the bigger fights.
But at the same time, it really didn't.
A boxing guy, definitely, you understand this concept.
I understand it, but not. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it.
That's because you're wrong.
Because the fight still ended up being the biggest pay-per-view fight of all time.
No, biggest is in terms of money, but we're talking about,
But it gets that way because people felt like it was a moment, regardless of the knockout.
Yeah, it was a moment because everybody. Well, never mind. You know what? We're going on too deep.
Like think about it. It doubled the last record. Think about how insane that is.
Oh no! It's certainly insane. But I'm saying that in this case with Tony and Khabib, there's nothing to diminish.
It does help that, yeah. But also, I mean, to take away from boxing, MMA is a sport where like taking losses and L's is far more acceptable.
Yeah, far more acceptable. But it's still cool when you don't take one.
It's
still really dope when you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true, I guess. Yeah,
but also from a stylistic standpoint, this fight is really amazing because it's. And I know we talked about this in the build up to the Poirier fight. It's like you're trying to not to the same extent, but we're saying like you got to provide Khabib something different, some sort of different stimulus that we have not seen. Tony Ferguson, man, will attack off of his back with reckless abandon, and that's something he hasn't faced. He will try to slice you open off his back with elbows.
His volume on the feet.
Yeah, he's not a guy who ever takes a back step. He does weird things sometimes. Like you got to give him different looks. And Khabib so far has handled every single style placed in front of him with relative ease, losing only maybe 2 rounds his entire UFC career.
Maybe 3.
Yeah, depending on how you score the T-Bow fight.
Yes,
right. And then that third round on against McGregor.
Yeah,
and that's really it. That's the only. I guess maybe the first Michael Johnson round.
Ooh,
maybe.
Yes.
So yeah, we're talking about like the meeting of 2 really, really great fighters. I'm just not gonna emotionally invest myself into it until I see the cage door locked behind them and Bruce Buffer is standing in between them.
If this goes off without a hitch and it happens on April 18th, is it the most significant lightweight fight of all time?
From a competitive standpoint,
yes.
Yeah,
not money.
Yeah, not from it is. It is because I think a win from either man has a very strong case for being the best UFC lightweight of all time. Very strong case.
And I mean, if you're Khabib, if you beat Tony in any sort of convincing fashion, how do you not rank him pound for pound number 1?
If you
it becomes really hard to make that argument.
So yeah, listen to the wins that these men will have had if whoever wins. So if Khabib wins, that means you have the scalp of Tony Ferguson. You got the scalp of Dustin Poirier. You got the scalp of Conor McGregor. You got the scalp of Rafael dos Anjos. You got the scalp of Michael Johnson. You've got the scalps of a lot of really, really good guys. And by the way, you just undefeated, period.
Yeah.
Pretty damn badass. Yeah. Aside from Ally Quinta too, another great name to have on your resume. Now, if you are Tony Ferguson and you win this fight, that means you got Khabib scalp. You got Donald Cerrone. You got Edson Barboza. You know what I'm saying? You got
your boy Kevin Lee.
You got Kevin Lee.
Your man's.
Kevin Lee is the homie.
Yo, Kevin Lee with the Gregory Gillespie knockout.
Oh, with the Instagram post after the Gregory Gillespie knockout. Yes.
Respect.
Yeah, respect.
We can finally rally around you now, Kevin
Can we
Lee.
get some air horns for Kevin Lee on that one?
Yes.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. So like either man has a strong case. Anthony Pettis on Ferguson's resume.
You said RDA, right?
Josh Thompson, former Strikeforce champion.
Barboza. Both beat T-Bow.
Yeah. I'm
a lot of common opponents too.
Yeah. We're talking about historic level of greatness between both men. So the winner has a very strong case. I'm not saying that the winner of this fight is the greatest lightweight in UFC history. I'm not going to jump off that ledge just yet. But it's the same thing I say, the same analogy I always use. If you tell me Redman is the greatest rapper of all time, I'm not sure if I agree, but I'm not going to argue with you.
I'll put it this way. The winner of this fight has a way stronger case to the greatest lightweight of all time in the UFC compared to Redman as the greatest rapper of all time.
Debatable. Okay.
No. I mean, who else would be in this conversation then?
The greatest rapper of all
No.
I thought we were about to go down the
No, and first off, I don't think Redman was even that high on your list, but
Redman was in my top 10.
I don't know about that.
It's my top 10, motherfucker. Like,
But you don't remember off rip, do you? I don't remember my top
well, I'm
20
just
off rip.
assuming it was because
You want to be right about the argument.
Exactly.
I mean, who else is in the conversation for the greatest lightweight of all time in the UFC? I don't think really BJ Penn. You can really make an honest claim that he's the greatest lightweight of all time.
The thing is, if we separate if
you want to make a pioneer wing, make a pioneer wing.
Or we're saying greatest champion in lightweight history. So then those are other conversations to be had. Those are conversations that overlap but aren't necessarily the same. So BJ Penn has a case for being the greatest lightweight champion in UFC history. Maybe not the greatest lightweight altogether.
Okay, well, even with that semantic argument, let's say Khabib wins this against Tony Ferguson. You can't make the claim that BJ Penn is a better champion.
No, not necessarily. Like, the thing is, I just haven't devoted myself enough to it, to the concept.
To think about it?
Yeah, to really flesh out the argument.
Like, the only people for especially champion, that narrow view of the argument.
Ben Henderson and Frankie Edgar.
I mean, it's a very limited pool, to be honest, just because the lightweight division's still a relatively young division. Jay in the chat saying you're a BJ Penn hater. I'm sorry, guys.
I just hate his alcohol tolerance.
Another guy with allegations of violence towards women. Just want to put that out there. But digressing from that point, I think again, like there's going to be a time in the next 10 years where we have that conversation where guys that fought from like the late 90s to like the mid 2000s, you're no longer in the conversation with the modern fighters.
Yeah, but they're
gonna be more in the classifications like the '90s fighters, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the case with every sport. As
absolutely,
time,
yes.
You know,
the pioneer wing becomes longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, it's like, is LeBron better than Jordan? Is Jordan better than Dr. J? It's one of those sort of arguments. So yeah, I mean that's just gonna happen in time with MMA also.
I absolutely agree.